Hey guys, give me just a second. We'll get started here. Hey guys, so we got just a couple of minutes and everybody be on. So so we already got a lot of people on already. So awesome, man, awesome. So guys, what we're going to talk about today, if you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead and post them in the chat and I'll get to them as we go through this. So what I've kind of learned over the years, and for you guys who don't know me, I'm Jason Morris. I have the real estate group, Real Estate Agents That Really Work. And I've been training real estate agents for about 7, 8 years on how to build a listing heavy business. And for you guys that don't know, I just wrote a new book called 10 Strategies for Low Cost Listing Leads. It's a short book. What I wanted to do was one of the things I've seen over the years is agents have lost the art of actually going out there selling, actually prospecting for leads. What's happened the last few years is the market's been good, right? It's been good. We've been buying leads from Zillow, buying them from realtor.com, buying them from all these sources. Well, and business has just been falling in our lap, right? Interest rates were low for a long time. And just what happened over the last, say, 20 years, when I first got in the real estate business, man, we were salespeople. We went out there and we literally dug for gold, right? For you guys that haven't realized this, your real estate license is the golden ticket. The problem most of us have is we have the golden ticket, but we got to go out there and get some tools and dig for the gold, right? Just like having a gold mine, man. You can't buy the gold mine and hope it just comes out of the ground to you. You got to go out there and look for it. And I've shared this with a lot of agents in the past. Man, that's what we done, right? And I see Dustin Pritchard's on the call. Hey, thanks for being here, Dustin. Um, One of the things that we done in the past was we went out there and we actually looked for the gold. Now agents want to go out and buy the gold and hope they can resell it, hope they can close those leads and make sense. And the problem with that is it creates a lot of overhead for us, and it creates that hamster wheel of a business that a lot of us have, where we have to keep closing deals hoping that we can just keep the hamster wheel going, right? Now, one of the things I learned years ago was like, man, if we can go out there and we can be, well, first thing is the biggest source of leads for us is finding people with problems and then figuring out a solution to those problems. It's like that in every business, just real estate. We're looking lots of times selling that house. Sometimes it's an emotional decision. We're like, hey, we're going to sell the house because we're going to walk away with 100 grand. But typically, it's we're going to sell the house, we're going to walk away with 100 grand because that $100,000 or just getting rid of the house, just getting rid of the mortgage payment solves a problem for us. Whatever that problem might be, it might be we're moving up, we're moving down, we're moving sideways, we're moving for a job, we're moving for a better school district, we just can't afford the place, whatever it may be. But selling that house typically solves a problem for us. Buying a house, though, is a little more emotional, I feel like. People buy a house and they get emotionally invested in it. People sell a house because logically it solves a problem, right? There may be some emotional attachment or something emotional they want to get rid of, but typically it's just solving a problem for us. So, guys, thank you for being on the call with me today. And what we're going to talk about is 10 strategies for low cost listing leads. And what we're going to do is we're going to go down through my book here. Like I said, I will answer any questions you guys have. And Guys, really, the business is pretty simple. There's two people we can work with. We can work with buyers, we can work with sellers, right? I've always preferred to work with sellers. And the reason being is because we can go out there, we can have 50 listings, and we can be sitting in our pajamas watching cartoons with the kids on Saturday morning. And every one of those 50 listings can get shown without us doing really anything, man. If you got your showing time or showing service set up, you can sit in your pajamas, maybe answer the phone, maybe respond to a text, whatever it is. And all those listings can get shown with you not moving off the couch, right? But if you got 50 buyers, they're all pre-qualified, all ready to go. If you can find them the house they want to see, which we know inventory is still kind of low right now, but if you can find them the house they want to see, then you can't show all those people property on Saturday. You'd be lucky if you could get to 2 or 3 of them on Saturday by yourself. You would have to have a massive team. You'd have to have the inventory to show. You'd have to have the time and the energy. I mean, it would be exhausting. You couldn't do it. You probably couldn't work with 50 buyers, you and your team, this month, unless you had a massive team. Would you guys agree with that? Raise your hand if you agree with that. I see some hands getting raised. So, especially with the lawsuit, why are we continuing to buy buyer leads from Zillow? Why are we continuing to buy buyer leads from Realtor.com and from all these buyer lead sources when we know, number one, they're going to be a lot of work. Number two, man, you better make sure your documentation's in place or you might not get paid with the NAR lawsuits coming up. Man, why are we continuing to build businesses around buyers? I'll share this quick story with you and then we'll get started on the first lead source. Guys, there was one year I was on a cruise. This was probably 10 years ago. I was literally out in the middle of the Caribbean, and on that cruise for 5 days, I sold 3 houses. I had no cell phone access. I literally had access to my email. And at the time, there wasn't these crazy unlimited plans and stuff. I think to check your email, it was like 30 cents a minute or something like that. I made $15,000 while we were on the cruise ship in the Caribbean, right? No way I could have done that working with buyers unless I had some really good buyers agents on my team. And still, that $15,000, I wouldn't have collected all that. This money went to me, well, minus my brokerage splits, right? But guys, there's no way I could have done that working with buyers. Guys, if you want to make real money, go list about 20 properties and take a vacation, because you're going to sell listings while you're on vacation. I promise you, right? So the lead source that I recommend RedX, expireds, for sale by owners, for rent by owners, geo leads, right? You get a CRM that goes with it. It's all in one place. You show up at your office in the morning, you open up your laptop, your leads are there. You don't have to worry about where you're going to call, log into a bunch of different places or any of that. If you tell them I sent you, they give you a discount. They waive the $150 setup fee, right? But another thing that I really like, guys, is a notebook, a spiral notebook. I've been doing this for years. A lot of us want to buy the legal notebooks. We flip the pages over, they get torn out, and only God knows where they are after that, right? If you get a spiral notebook, you can go down through that notebook. You can make notes in it. You can write your good leads in it. You can write for sale by owners. We should not be, and the first lead source is for sale by owners, right? This should be something all of us should be working on. Guys, I don't know about your market, but I can tell you mine. Just driving around, driving to the store, doing things with the kids, stuff like that. I am seeing more for sale by owner signs than I have seen in quite a while. And I believe it's a sign of the change in the market. I'll tell you guys another sign that's changing the market is when you start seeing rentals that are not renting out or rental rates start going down. But all of a sudden, man, maybe I'm just being more perceptive. Maybe I'm just noticing them more, but I don't think so, man. I don't think so. 6-8 months ago, you'd ride around, you wouldn't see a for sale by owner sign in sight. Now I'm seeing for sale by owner signs that have been out there so long, the Sharpie is fading off of them, right? And they're not listing with an agent because guess what, guys? Nobody's really calling these right now. We have gotten so lazy. Most of you guys listening to this call have never worked in a down market like what we're going to see in the next 12 to 24 months. You guys have never done it. And I'll tell you guys, you should have a notebook, and you should not pass a for sale by owner sign without writing writing the number down on it. Write the number, the address down, maybe a couple of details. If you have time, pull into their driveway and call them while you're sitting in the driveway and say, hey, this is Jason Morris. I'm with XYZ Realty. I'm sitting out in your driveway. I saw the for sale by owner sign out front. I was hoping I could get some details on your house. How much are you asking for it? How soon do you want to sell it? Go down through your script real quick while you're sitting in their yard. Tell them, I've got another appointment I've got to run to, but I'd like to come back and I'd like to take a look at the inside. What's an email address for you so I can send you some information about me and my team and what we do to sell houses? House 4 p.m. tomorrow. House 4 p.m. this afternoon. I try to get there as soon as I can. Guys, Craigslist. We all forget about Craigslist. Craigslist is a tremendous source of leads. The number one reason is because nobody else is looking on it anymore. Yeah, you know what? I heard somebody told me this when I was talking about this. They said, oh, well, there's a lot of brokers that have fake for sale by owner ads on there. You know what though, man? Let's say that you have to go through 5-10 postings to find one legitimate for sale by owner. Dude, how much is that one for sale by owner worth in your market? How much is listing that one for sale by owner worth in your market? Can anybody tell me? Put it in the chat. How much is that one for sale by owner worth in your market? Would you call 10 people? Let's just say it's a $200,000 listing, which we know that's low in a lot of markets today. $200,000 listing at 2.5%, that lead is worth $5,000 on the listing side. So what you guys are telling me is you would not sift through 10 for sale by owners to find the one real one for $5,000. And I look at agents when they tell me this and I go, oh my God, man, what kind of trust fund do you have? It's crazy. So Zillow is a great source for sale by owners. Facebook Marketplace. Now, one of the problems with Facebook Marketplace I see agents try to do, and I've even had this to happen to me where agents have messaged me about stuff that I've had on there and they didn't realize I was an agent too, is they try to list it over their DMs. And that's a horrible idea, guys. They're going to quit responding to you. They send a book. Think about this. When somebody texts me a book, right? Like a 3-page text, I don't really read that text, dude. I got other stuff going on. I'm busy. But you know what? When somebody texts me like a conversation, man, I respond back. And you know what? It's so easy too, because all you really have to do is message these people. They put their ad up and they're wanting people to message them, right? Now they're getting a lot of bullshit messages too. Like, hey, will you rent the property? Will you own or finance it? Will you do a lease option with me? The property looks like it needs some work. What if we do the work? Will you sell it cheaper? Or what if we take it as is? Will you sell it cheaper? And then just stuff about how overpriced it is. But because people aren't in touch with reality. So a simple script is, hey, what's a good number for you? And guess what happens? Like a lot of the time is the seller will actually give you their phone number. And then you say, hey, what's the best time to give you a call? And then they'll respond with something like, hey, I get off work at 5. Like how? They say, hey, great. How about if I call you about 6? You set an alarm on your phone and you put call seller at 6. Do a couple screenshots. That way you remember what you're calling about, screenshot their number, and you just call them at 6. How easy is that? You set up an appointment to call them. Then on the phone call, you set up an appointment to see the house and you list the house through your listing process, right? You guys that are trying to list it through direct messages, you guys that are trying to list the property over the phone and you're struggling to do it, it's because that's not the way this works. I'm sorry. I've been doing this 20 years and I've been the number one agent at most offices I've been at. The way that it works is you have a sales process. And I teach this and I train agents on this. And there's actually a book of mine, How to Be a FSBO Master on Amazon and How to Be an Expired Master that has this process in it. But you actually take them through a sales process to sell your service. Guys, I got some news for you guys. We don't sell houses. What we sell is we sell a service that sells houses. And once you guys start understanding that, the business will be so much easier for you. I promise you. Guys, Facebook buy and sell groups. Facebook buy and sell groups are great. For some reason, some things in the buy and sell groups aren't showing up in Marketplace. I don't really know why. Pick a couple of them, spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes scrolling down through it. Don't wait. I wouldn't waste a whole lot of time because it's easy to get sucked in those things and spend 2 hours. But the next thing, for sale by owner signs. Guys, this one blows me away. Agents go, well, I don't think they really want to sell their house, or they don't want to list their house with an agent. No, I got news for you. They don't want to list their house. What they want to do is they want to sell their house. And the way they sell their house, the easiest way is to get it in front of as many qualified buyers as possible. And the way you do that is you put your property with an agent on MLS. The biggest pool of qualified buyers right now are working with real estate agents, right? There's a few stragglers out there, right? A few investors that looking for a deal that are on their own. They're not working with agents, right? But your average buyer out there, the biggest pool of buyers in your market are working with real estate agents because they don't want to see that one property that's available. They want to see all the properties that are available. Does that make sense? So guys, next lead source here. Next lead source, for rent by owners. Guys, I'm going to share something with you that a lot of people don't really understand. For rent by owners, most of the landlords out there are not landlords really by choice. I know this sounds weird to a lot of you guys. They didn't choose really to be a landlord. What happened was at some point or another, somehow they got stuck with a property. They couldn't sell it. They decided to rent it. They decided to rent it to a family member or whatever happened, but they got stuck with this property and a tenant's in it now, right? Or maybe like I got a friend the other day, we were talking and he was thinking about renting his house. And the reason being is because he needs to move for a job. He had it listed actually with an agent a while back. The problem with it was the agent way overpriced it. The property didn't sell. So he's thinking about renting it. And basically he would have been an accidental landlord. Now, hopefully, we lowered the price on his house and relisted it and all that stuff. And hopefully it sells and he gets what he's looking for it. But this agent overpriced it $100,000. But this guy was about to be in basically a landlord, not by choice, but by necessity. Now, there's a couple things we know about for rent by owners. Okay. First thing is most leases are only 12 months. You got a few out there that are 24, 36 or whatever, or 6 months, but most are 12 months. And guys, no matter how good the tenant is, that house is going to go empty again at some point or another. It might be in 12 months. It might be in 2 years. It might be in 3 months. Guys, I'll tell you this quick story about myself. I've got a rental of mine. Actually, I've got 2 rentals. I've done this twice in the last 3 months. And I like to think I'm a professional landlord that's doing it on purpose. But man, I moved people in. They paid me the first month in deposit, did not pay the second month. One of them moved here. They had a job when they moved here. That job went away. The economy is changing. That job went away. They can't find another job. They can't pay me. Right. I got another one that they moved in, similar sort of issue, and they can't pay me. And we're talking about second, third months, right? And one of these guys is in a house that I swear to you, I've evicted the last 3 people in it. I am tired of it. If somebody wants a deal on a house right now, I will finish kicking that tenant out. I filed eviction on them. I'll finish kicking that tenant out and I will give you a deal on that house. I am tired of it. I seem to evict the last people. There are tired landlords out here. And that's the point you want to catch these people. The for rent by owner lead strategy is really catching a landlord when that landlord is tired of that property, a tired landlord. That's really what you're looking for. And sometimes you're going to have to work. You're going to have to do a little follow-up with that. And that follow-up could be a lot of different ways. You could send text, you could send emails, you could have one meaningful conversation with them. And guys, don't forget this too. A property can be sold with a tenant in place. And The funny thing about this is, too, is that even if a tenant's in place and they're not paying, dude, that mortgage payment's due every month if they got a mortgage on it. Um, Guys, and if you just added, one, two, four rent by owners a day to your database, right? 12 months, you'd have about 250 property owners. And every month you would have leases ending. Every month you would have people that are evicting. You could do this for 12 months and build you a database and continue to add to that database, of course, where you could get a deal or two a month from this. I believe this. I've done this for years. For rent by owners is one of the most overlooked lead sources out there. Guys, so let's go to the next lead source here. Do you guys like this? Give me a little feedback. Do you guys like this and you like the direction we're going? Cool. Raise your hand if you do. Cool. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. So good stuff. You guys think you can take this information, make some money with it after? Raise your hand if you think you're going to make money with the information from this webinar. Awesome, man. Awesome. Hey, so the next lead source is one. I'm sure that you guys are going, oh man, I didn't log on to this talk about expireds, but I added expireds to this book. And the reason, and by the way, the book's available on Amazon. You get a hard copy. You can get a Kindle version. Version's 99 cents right now. But expired listings, man. Guys, all of us should be working on expired listings. And there's a lot of ways to work on them now. That's the funny thing, man. It used to be, so when I first started 20 years ago, man, I would sit there with whitepages.com and all this stuff, and I would basically look up numbers for 3 hours to call for 45 minutes the next day. It sucked, man. It was horrible. Okay, there wasn't services out there. Now we have services like Red-X. And the thing about expireds, and this is the number one reason I think you should be calling them, contacting them, working. We're going to talk about several different ways to work them here in just a second. The reason I think that you should work on this listing source is because we have more information on these leads than we do any lead source that could possibly be available out there. Man, not only do we know the address, we can use a service like Red-X and we can get a lot of numbers. We can't get all the numbers, but we can get a lot of numbers, right? But man, we got pictures of it. We got a property disclosure that's probably uploaded in your MLS. We have every piece of information that could possibly be available in this house. Every piece of information. What other lead source out there do you have that much information about? If you guys know one, please let me know. Guys, we have more information on these lead sources than you have on your mama's house you grew up in, right? There is no lead source out there that we have the information we have expireds. Now, of course, we go out and door knock expireds, right? And I guarantee you nobody in your market is door knocking expireds. Now, I'm not saying do them all, because man, if you get 20 expireds in a day, if you don't have 20 expireds in a day in your market right now, guys, hang on, they're coming. Nobody hardly is calling these things. The people that are calling them are not calling them consistently. The people that are calling them are not following up. The people that are calling them are literally calling them going, hey, you want to relist your house? You want to relist your house? That's what they're doing. They're not having meaningful conversations with them. They're probably using the Mike Ferry script. And if you saw one of my videos, I'm not a big fan of those, man. I'm not a big fan. There's a lot of useless questions in it. You got to have a good script that works. There's questions that are important, right? Door knocking them, having some kind of flyer or some sort of marketing piece you can leave in the door. If they're home, you know what? Simple script. Hey, do you still want to sell your house? Fantastic. When's a good time for me to come back and look at it? I've seen some agents that try to do this and they try to basically push their way in the door. Guys, do not do that. Have some respect for these people. Hey, Mr. Seller, it's great to meet you. I was wondering if you still wanted to sell your house. Wouldn't be a good time for me to come back and take a look at it. I'd like to email you over some information about me and my team and what we do to sell houses. Guys, if you don't have a pre-listing package, get that pre-listing package, set it up in a PDF where you can easily email it to them. That way they know who you are. Because I tell you what, man, there's so many scams. It's 2024. God, 2024, there's more scams out there than we can count. And guys, one thing we need to do is we need to make sure our sales system builds trust with buyers and sellers, but sellers especially, because they are giving you access to not only their home. If you're in their home, you have access to their valuable stuff that's in there too, right? So, guys, you need to practice every way possible to make sure you're building trust and make sure those people feel comfortable with you before you get to their house, right? So, follow up with all this stuff is the key, right? Phone calls are a great way. Um, Phone calls are a great way. Watch your tonality. You can send text, you can send mass text, you can drop voicemails. Guys, I tell you what, if you get Red X, right, and you can get email addresses too. You can take those email addresses, those phone numbers, and everything. You can create a custom audience in Facebook, and you can actually run targeted ads to expired listings. Did you guys know that? And you can spend like $3, $5 a day and get in front of a lot of these people on a consistent basis. If you're running ads, they're seeing you on Facebook, they saw a little note stuck in the door from you, you're leaving them a voicemail, you're calling them and talking to them on the phone, guys, you're going to be top of mind. I promise you. Send them something in the mail. Guys, nobody's doing direct mail. I tell you what, I've been living in the same house for over 10 years. 10 years ago, God, I used to get realtor mail pieces in the mail all the time. I rarely get a realtor mail piece. Nowadays, when I get one, I feel like I got to hang on to it because I want to look at it. And basically, I just want to look at it and look the agent up and be nosy and stuff. But I never get them anymore. Like, I might get one a month, two a month. And sphere of influence. Sphere of influence. Guys, so how many of you guys are consistently working your sphere of influence, really working it? I'm not talking about just posting on Facebook. Guys, and you know what, man? Posting a real estate post on Facebook every now and then is not a bad idea just to let everybody know, hey, you still sell real estate. Dude, I missed out on a listing one time, and it was actually my cousin's second home. And I've told this story a bunch of times on webinars and stuff, but the reason I missed out on it, the first time I missed out on them buying the house, and it was about a $500,000 home. This is probably about 15, 16 years ago. I missed out the first time because they didn't realize that I worked in the area that they bought a house. Meanwhile, my office was in the little township they bought the house in, right? I just, I just didn't really tell anybody. I didn't really talk about selling real estate when we'd have family gatherings and stuff. I didn't talk about it, right? I didn't let people know I was a real estate agent. About 5, 6 years later, they were getting divorced. This was a second home for them. They sold this house, and guys, even worse, they didn't know I still sold real estate, right? So social media gives us a great outlet for that. I don't think you should overwhelm your audience by any means, but I think that you should every once in a while post some engaging content, right? So now, guys, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know another word for it. I feel like I heard this, or maybe I created it. I don't know. But you have people in your sphere of influence that we're going to refer to them as power connectors. These are people that just, man, they just know everybody else, right? They're trusted figure in the community. They just know everybody. And sometimes it's hard to identify who these people are, but I guarantee you got them out there, man. And I'm going to share just a couple quick stories with you about these, but these are people. I'll give you a couple examples. A pastor at a local church, your local preacher, small convenience store owners, civic group organizers, hardware store employees or managers, local handyman. That's a few examples, man. It's not all of them. Dude, there's probably 100 more that I haven't even thought of. But guys, some of the biggest people in my sphere of influence that referred me business over the years have been people that they were not technically my family or friends. The people that I wanted to send me business, they wasn't the mortgage lender that I was friends with, right? That I'd go eat lunch with. He was referring them to people who were sending mortgages, right? And you can't blame him. No hard feelings, man. No hard feelings. It's just business and it's okay, right? Convenience store owners. Man, there was a couple I sold a house for. They owned a small, it wasn't really even a convenience store. Well, it was a little tiny store, a little country store out in the middle of nowhere. They did not sell gas. They did breakfast, they did lunch, and they sold like some groceries and stuff like that. wasn't really like a big deal. They were super nice people, man. These people, over the course of my career, man, they'd send me, I probably do 2 or 3 deals a year from these people. I mean, whenever I'd be in the area, man, I would take and I would stop by. I would make sure I at least went in there and bought a drink or something, man. Gave them some cards. I mean, these people sent me business often. I mean, at least 1 or 2 solid leads a month. This guy bought some real estate. Um, it's really kind of interesting how that worked. When they sold the store, I tell you this, man, when they sold the store, to be honest with you, I had made so damn much money in real estate commissions from referrals. I probably should have just bought the store, right? I should have just bought the store, continued to cook breakfast and lunch there, and sold real estate out of it. I should have made it my own private real estate office. I've done so many deals out of their store over the years. But guys, they were a great source of business. These people knew everybody in the little community, and they just knew everybody. Another source of business for me was I was one time I was very involved in local politics. And anyway, fortunately, I kind of got a little burnt out on that whole thing, or unfortunately, kind of got a little burnt out on local politics. But there's a political consultant. I was friends with him. I helped him out on some campaigns. I donated money to people that he was done. I became friends with this guy. I'm still friends with him. And man, this guy knew everybody that was anybody. And this guy, over the years, he's referred me a tremendous amount of business. And he knows everybody that's anybody in our local area, really in our state. Um, Guys, I'll tell you another great one that's going to come up here. I believe short sales are coming back. If you guys don't know what that is, look it up online. But I believe short sales are coming back. Guys, when the market took a downturn last time, I became friends with an HOA manager. And I didn't do it. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't for this reason. Just me and the guy, we met. I had a small property management company at the time. We just met. We hit it off. He was a good dude. I liked him a lot. I managed several units that were in an HOA they were having a little trouble with, because HOAs, I don't know if you guys remember this. Well, this was 10 years ago. I forget how old I am sometimes. But HOAs, people would typically quit paying their HOA before they quit paying their mortgage, because there was an idea that the HOA wouldn't foreclose on you, which was wrong. But anyway, it is what it is. And so when they would have these board meetings, I was on several HOA boards where literally we were making choices. Are we going to pay the trash or get the grass cut? Trash bill or grass cutting bill, right? Could the grass go every other week instead of every week? I mean, these were real conversations that we were having. There was a situation where me and 4 other board members each chipped in $100 to pay the water bill at a place. And it was just rough times. And anyway, hopefully we don't see that again, but I got a feeling that we're going to see quite a downturn here in the next year or two. But guys, these HOA managers, you think about it. There's a community out there. They manage only one community with 300 homeowners in it. They're in touch with 300 homeowners. 300 homeowners knows John HOA Manager Smith out there, right? That should be a guy that is your friend. And I don't think they can put you in the newsletter, but hey guys, you know what? Man, sometimes they let you pay to be in the newsletter, right? Another one in our market is pretty common, properties on lease land. There was a mobile home park here that's a pretty sizable one that's in a great location. That's probably one of the few that's going to be there forever. I don't think it'd ever be redeveloped. But they had about 500 home spots there. Man, these people, they have been great to me over the years, and they have referred me so much business. It's unreal. And there's 2 people work in the office. They hear all the gossip. They see everything. Dude, they know the people behind a lot rent. And man, they have referred me tremendous amounts of business over the years. So that's a couple of examples, guys. You should look through the people you know and find those, right? So guys, next lead source, open houses. Okay, I know some of you guys are probably rolling your eyes right now going, man, why are we going through open houses? Guys, open houses are a great lead source. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a big fan of them. Okay. It isn't my idea of a good time. Just being very honest with you guys, open houses are not my idea of a good time. It's not my idea of a good time to go sit in somebody else's house from 1 to 4 p.m. on Saturday, watching their TV, sitting on their couch, and hoping somebody shows up. But if you plan it correctly and you do a little pre work, open houses can be extremely productive. Extremely productive. And the thing about them is like I said, you got to do a little pre-work, right? So if you put your signs out the day before, put them out the day before, put your little flyer on it, say open house tomorrow, right? Go ahead and stick your balloons. If balloons are allowed, man, I'll tell you what, I used to work with this guy years ago. He'd been in the business a little longer than me. He'd laugh and tell me balloons sold houses. And I tell you what, balloons do sell houses. You guys can think I'm joking about that or think I'm, making some dumb realtor remark. But guys, you go out there and do a couple of open houses without balloons, then you do a couple of open houses with balloons. Put the signs all the way out to the road. But here's where the magic comes in, right? The day before the open house, put your signs out and just door knock the neighborhood. Door knock the neighborhood. If you're using a software, if you're subscribed to RedX and you're using GeoLeads, put in the neighborhood information, call everybody in the neighborhood. Hey, Jason Morris, XYZ Realty, we're having an open house, 123 Main Street tomorrow from 1 to 4. Wanted to call you, invite you to come to it. Hey, would you happen to know anybody that's looking in your neighborhood to buy a house? Do you have any friends, family members looking to buy a house that you'd like for them to be your neighbor? This is a 3-bedroom. I've been getting a lot of calls for larger floor plans. I'm getting a lot of calls for smaller plans. We get a lot of calls on this house. Do you know anybody else might be looking to sell? Right? All of a sudden, I know a lot of agents talk about cold calling neighborhoods. Dude, I hate that. Cold calling is not one of the things I recommend anybody doing. But when you're doing this and you're inviting them to an open house, it's not a cold call anymore. You have a warm call. You're letting them know what's going on with the neighbor's house. You're inviting them to an open house. Then you have the opportunity. Hey, do you know anybody else that might be looking to sell in the neighborhood? Right? You got that opening. You door knock the neighborhood. You stick out flyers. I mean, honestly, guys, you can hire somebody to stick out flyers for you if you don't want it door knocked, right? Okay, show up a little bit early the day after the open house. So there's an opportunity there. Not only are you going to have people show up, and here's the funny thing, man, a lot of these people that are going to show up to your open house, a lot of these people, man, are people that are going to, they're nosy, right? They're thinking about selling their house. So they're going to come over there and just kind of look at your house and kind of see what's going on, see how much they can get for it, right? See if their house is better than your house, that sort of thing, right? And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Good for them, man. Good for them. But they're sellers. Sellers will show up to your open houses. I've had open houses where more sellers showed up than potential buyers, right? But then you also have the opportunity to follow up the next day, right? After the open house and go, hey, Mr. Neighbor, we had 22 people show up yesterday. Thank you guys for coming out. Hate you guys missed it. If you know anybody looking, you know any other homes for sale, right? You have that opportunity. Now, I'll tell you another one. The next lead source is geographical farming. Okay. And the reason I put this in there and I put open houses separately because, man, farming is something that is great if you work on it strategically. A lot of agents want to send out a bunch of flyers. They want to send out a bunch of mail pieces. They want to call 10,000 homes. But if you picked an area with, say, 2,000 homes in it, right? 10 neighborhoods with 200 homes apiece in it that have an average turnover rate of say 5%. That's 10 homes. Out of those 2,000 houses, there's 100 homes that are going to sell next year. And I guarantee you, most areas, you guys have a 5% turnover rate. Some of you guys might have more, some might have a little less, but you got 100 homes. You got those 10 neighborhoods, and you start doing open house in those 10 neighborhoods. You go to your office, go to other agents that have listings there. You start calling expireds, for sale by owners. You start holding open houses once a month, twice a month. You're calling before, you're calling after. You're doing some voicemail drops. Maybe you pick the 2,000 houses in one area. You don't do one neighborhood on the east side of town and one neighborhood on the west side of town. You don't do that. You pick 2,000 houses that are, 10 neighborhoods that are basically in one geographic area, right? That way it makes the most sense and you get more bang for your buck and just more impact. And that's what we're looking for, right? We want to work less. If we got 2 neighborhoods on the west side of town, 2 on the north side of town, 2 on the south side of town, man, we're going to run ourselves to death. But if we pick 2,000 houses, 5% turnover rate, that's 100 homes a year. If for some of us in some markets, man, if we could just get 10% market share out of those 2,000 houses, we'd make a really good living, wouldn't we? And not really work real hard. Man, you could run Facebook ads to them. You could door knock those. You could hold open houses. You could do, we used to do this preview thing when I first started in the real estate industry, and we'd preview a house. You preview houses in that geographical farming area. And then what you do is we do a 5-5-10 is what they call it. Knock on 5 doors to the right, 5 doors to the left, 10 across the street. We'd have a marketing piece. Hey, we're looking at the house down the street. It looks great. I was wondering if you knew anybody else looking to sell in the neighborhood. That's it. That's the script, man. It's not really a cold script either. You're not cold knocking on doors. Like, hey, my name's Jason Morris, and I'm with HYZ Realty, and I'm just knocking on doors today. No. Hey, my name is Jason Morris, and I'm with ABC Realty. House across the street for you for sale. That's for sale. And I was wondering if you knew any other houses that might be for sale in the neighborhood. All right, that's it. Oh yeah, we do. The guy, dude, you wouldn't believe how many times doing this. It wouldn't happen every time. I want to set expectations. Did not happen every time, but unbelievably, every so often you'd have somebody say, "Hey, that house down there in the corner with the green door, they've been talking about selling their house." Then you go knock on the house with the green door and you say, "Hey, the guy over in 312 whatever street, Canary Street, told me you want to sell your house. I was just looking at the house across the street up here." And they go, "Oh yeah, we want to sell their house." And guys, you got a lead from that, right? And guys, if you do this in your geographical farming area, you have signs start going up. Your open house signs are going up, right? You're making calls, you're doing voicemail drops, you got Facebook ads. Dude, it won't take you long and you could take over a little section, man. Excuse me. There's a guy that I met. I don't want to talk about what market he's in because he'd be easy to, I don't know if he shares this story, but he'd done this, and over the years, he'd expanded to about 14,000 homes. This guy in those 14,000 homes, the average price, and this was a couple of years ago, average price was $680,000. This guy was making almost $3 million a year from his geographical farm. Guys, it's out there. We just have to find it. Remember, our real estate license is the golden ticket. We just have to work to dig up the gold, right? What do you guys think so far? Raise your hand if this is productive. Raise your hand if you're getting something out of this. Cool, guys. Cool. Hey, thank you, guys. Thanks, Paul. So courthouse filings. Guys, there are so many leads down at your local courthouse. So many leads down at your local courthouse. It is actually unbelievable. I could have wrote a book on just how to find leads at your local courthouse. And maybe I'll do that later. I don't know. But and guys, these leads, you can run Facebook ads, you can use GeoLeads, look up one numbers off. You can door knock, you can door knock the neighborhood, you can door knock neighbors and say, "Hey, do you know how I get in touch with the guy who lives there?" Guys, you wouldn't believe how many times I pulled up in an abandoned, empty house, knocked on the neighbor's door, and the neighbor gave me the people's phone number because they were tired of seeing the damn grass waist high and the house looking like shit next door. Guys, social media, looking up the people that. Guys, number one, you know what? I wish there was a service that provided these. And if you guys know of one, please reach out to me and tell me about it. But eviction filings. looking for those tired landlords, like we talked about earlier, the for rent by owner people that are evicting somebody, or maybe they got a management company evicting somebody, right? But having the ability to market to those people effectively. And the only way you get these is go do the work or pay somebody at the courthouse to do the work for you. And I shared this story. I shared a story in this book that came out a month ago. Man, I've got one right now that, like I said, I've evicted the last few people there. If somebody called me today, they could have a deal on that house, man. Number two, code enforcement violations. Guys, code enforcement violations. I've found good deals from this that I've ended up with. Um, and Man, it's no secret. I've shared this a bunch. I like mobile homes, man. I like mobile home parks. Um, that low end rental, affordable housing, man, has really been really good to me over the years. And but code enforcement violations, guys. There's so many people in your market that have built a deck on the back of their house, have done something, right? And they didn't pull a permit for it. And usually this goes unnoticed for quite a while. What happens is the tax assessor comes around to reassess the property, and that garage wasn't there last time. That shop wasn't in the back of the house last time. And somehow or another, the tax assessor catches it. And basically, they end up with code violation, and they have to do something. They have to do something with the house, right? And or they have to do something with the structure. A lot of people don't realize it, that they can probably work with the county and work through that. But they're still going to have to pay fines. They're still going to have to pay fees. They're probably going to have to do some inspections. I've got a friend of mine recently. I'm not sure what he was thinking about, but he helped his mom build a. I wanted a garage, and he hired somebody to build a garage, and they pulled no permits. And this was probably 2, 3 years ago. They done this, and during tax assessment time, just like we said, they come through and they realized, hey, mom's got a garage that she didn't have, a few years ago. We did it when we did the tax, readjusted taxes and stuff, and there wasn't a permit filed. And so, anyway, it created some problems for them. Fortunately, it was done up to code and stuff, and they went and paid some fines and paid for some permits, went through inspections, and wasn't a big deal. But some cases, man, they will actually go to the point where they will condemn the property over something really minor, or they will make the people tear it off. I got two mobile homes a while back that were decent, really decent places, and I paid $0 for them. And what happened was the guy had a double wide. He'd pulled two mobile homes in the back of it, and he'd set them up illegally, and he'd been renting them out, and really never had a problem. Never had a problem with the tenants. I mean, he had a good source of income in his backyard, really, and was probably doing well with it. And long story short is he he took and code enforcement come through. They saw this, and they basically they condemned the property, turned off his electric, and he had to move those mobile homes out before he could get his electric turned back on. Guys, I had one that I had a mobile home park where there's a road down through it. Long story short was this road, years ago, people had dumped concrete in the mud holes of this dirt road that went down through it. Now you can imagine what kind of a nightmare this was for maintaining this road. When it would rain, it would just wash out the dirt around these big chunks of concrete. And man, I had to go figure out what to do with that, or code enforcement was actually going to condemn the road in my mobile home park, which basically would have shut down the small mobile home park I had. And guys, it cost me about somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000-$12,000 to get this corrected. And fortunately, I had the money to do it. But if I didn't have the money to do it, dude, it would have been a big deal. And guys, there's deals out there like that. Condemned properties. A lot of people don't really realize this. There was a property, man, I looked at a while back about buying myself. And honestly, I was just too slow and I lost out on the thing. But the thing had been on the market for a while. It was condemned. It was a small mobile home park. It was condemned. Mobile homes were sitting there. They put condemnation signs on it. Some of the windows had been broken out. of mobile homes. There was trash everywhere. Long story short, I went to the county, said, hey, what would I need to do to have the condemnation lifted on this? What can I do? Turned out the only thing the county wanted was the grass cut, the trash cleaned up, and the broken windows fixed. That was it, man. There was another property that I was a part of the guy buying a few years ago. It was a triplex. It was kind of in a little bit of a rough neighborhood, but the property had been condemned. He bought this triplex for gosh, I want to say he paid like 15,000. Actually, I talked about it in this book. He paid $15,000 for it. Cost about $75,000 to fix it up. Man, it was worth $200,000 at the time he bought it. Today, it's probably worth over 400,000, right? So, number 4, homeowner association liens. Guys, if you're behind on your homeowners association fees, they will eventually lien your property, and they can foreclose on your property. And a lot of property owners do not understand this. That even if they file a lien in their second, third position, they can still foreclose on it. They can take title, subject to the existing mortgages, and the existing mortgages will come back and they'll have to foreclose themselves. But man, I've seen this so much in my market, because in my market, everything's an HOA. So homeowner association litigation, great lead source. When you hear about a condo development and litigation, guys, you should be running to get names, numbers, and everything for everybody in this condo association, because a lot of times that litigation is associated with some sort of builder defect that honestly isn't a big deal a lot of times. But then at the same time, it could be associated with something that's eventually going to be an assessment. It could be a lot of different things. But one of the things that's happened over the years is banks are a little iffy on lending for this. They'll call them non-warrantable condos. And guys, those homeowner associations that are in litigation, man, there's some deals there. There are deals there that you can just add to your marketing strategy. You can run Facebook ads to the owners. You can do voicemail drops. You can do mass text messages. You can call the neighborhood. You can send out mailers. There's a lot of things you can do. Dude, number 7, probate. Probate. You know, when somebody dies, it doesn't matter what state you're in, there's some form of probate that you go through. And all this information is at the courthouse. Guys, some of the information even has the name of the executor of the state, and even has contact information for the executor of the state. So you're not looking for Joe Smith that passed away, 30 days ago, 45 days ago. You're finding, John Smith, his kid, that's now the executor of the state. Right? That's who you need to talk to. And a lot of times is probate. A lot of times people will, they just don't really go after it because they don't really know who to contact, because the executor of the state is oftentimes not the owner of the state. So it's really interesting when you do that. But guys, building permits, guys, you could probably call a local title company and get a list of these every month we're not talking about a lot of money. But what you're really looking for is small local builders. With the market going down, there's a lot of them that have some standing inventory if they were building spec homes. There's a lot of them that are sitting on lots that they need to do something with. There's a lot of opportunities to get real creative with these guys, because a lot of them were swinging a hammer as a framer 4 years ago. When the building industry picked up, they got their contractor's license, went off on their own, and they're building houses. And a lot of these small builders are not as business savvy as what they would like to believe they are. And they need some help, dude. They need some help, right? But also there might be some opportunities to market some pre-construction homes. There might be some opportunities where you can hook them up with somebody that you have a lot listing with, and you can market the lot listing, plus you can market the pre-sell a house with the lot that you have. There's a lot of opportunities in networking with local builders. Permits for renovations. Guys, all these are filed at the courthouse. man, a lot of these renovations, these permits being pulled are investors. A lot of them are rehabbers. They're trying to flip the property. Um, Guys, and they're filing their stuff down at the courthouse. Literally, you just got to go down there and get a list. So it's really, really good stuff, man. But applications to subdivide or develop property, guess what, man? Those are filed at the courthouse too. Sometimes it's just, mom and dad are cutting off an acre lot for one of their kids to put a mobile home there, build a house beside mom and dad, whatever it is. Some of them are subdivisions, some of them are minor subdivisions. But there was a guy I met about 15 years ago that specialized in these minor subdivisions. Man, I did a lot of business over the years with him. Some direct, some indirectly, but this guy sold 20, 30 properties a year. I mean, really, really, if you guys found one small developer like that, network with him, um, build a relationship, and next thing you know, you're the listing agent on those 15, 20, 30 lots a year, man, that could be something that changed your business. Finding these courthouse leads could literally be something that changed your business. So, guys, I missed one here. Guys, all zoning meetings, your courthouse has zoning meetings. And man, those are interesting too, because there are guys getting up there pleading their case for zoning changes. And guys, get this. If they don't get the zoning change, I'll tell you guys a quick story about this. If they don't get the zoning change that they were going for, sometimes they have to sell the property. Guys, I had a friend of mine that that we bought a double wide together and moved it to a lot. Now, this lot had previously had a mobile home on it. The tie downs were still in the ground where the previous mobile home was. The power pole was still up where the previous mobile home was. You could see the outline and the indentation in the ground where the mobile home used to be, right? And I'll be honest with you, I'm a real estate agent. Dude, I should have known better. I should have known better than this. This is a mistake that I'm owning up to here. Um, there's no reason to believe why we couldn't put a double wide there, right? However, there'd been some zoning changes and stuff in the local area. And because there hadn't been a mobile home there in probably 5 years, we lost the grandfathered right to put another mobile home there. And mobile homes were not allowed in that particular area anymore. So guys, we paid, we probably had about $12,000 in moving a double wide to this guy, to my friend's lot that I bought the double wide with. And he went in front of zoning asking for a variance so that we could leave the mobile home there that we had already set up, already hooked the water, sewer. I mean, we'd done everything, man. We could have got an inspection and somebody could have moved in there. And it turns out that long story short is that we couldn't put the mobile home there. So what ended up happening was we had to move the mobile home somewhere else, cost another $10,000-$12,000. And then he ended up selling the lot because if he couldn't put a mobile home there, he didn't want to deal it. He bought the lot for the specific purpose of putting a mobile home on it to resell as a mobile home lot package, right? And guys, that is not the only story, man. There are so many stories. Guys, another thing, tax liens. Tax liens where people haven't paid their property taxes. Typically in South Carolina, you got a year to pay them. It goes to an auction. Then after the auction, they have 12 months to redeem the property. They still own it and if they don't redeem it, what ends up happening is the person that bought that lien gets the title to it. They basically lose the property. So anyway, there are some of those people, they don't want to lose the property. They have a lot of equity in it. Some of them own it free and clear. Get that. Some of it is just a property, man, that the person died and the family just didn't want anything to do with it. Just somehow or another, the property taxes just didn't get paid. Guys, I actually bought one like this for $12,000 that had a double wide on 3/4 of an acre. And it was that there were no liens on it. The guy bought it from actually had bought the lien and nobody redeemed it. So he ended up with a tax deed and I bought it with a tax deed for $12,000. So foreclosure and auction list. So guys, a lot of these houses, man, that are going up to your foreclosure auctions in your local market, a lot of these houses are literally the people sometimes just don't understand how the foreclosure process works. They own the house until it actually goes to auction. Now, sometimes if they haven't jerked the bank around and asked for extensions and extensions, sometimes they can get an extension if the property is either under contract or the property's listed. Not all the time. I can't promise that, but sometimes. Guys, this foreclosure list, sometimes the courthouse gives them away for free. You just got to go pick them up. Sometimes you have to pay for them. In my market, there's a lady that sells it. I think it's 50, 60 bucks a month. But then there's another list you can get for free if you go up there and pick it up. The lady that sells the list, hers is a little more detailed and has a little more information on it. But guys, this foreclosure auction list are great. Could be great sources of business for you. Those houses are going to get sold. It's just a matter, is the bank going to sell them or is the seller going to sell it before the bank sells it, right? But then, um, you know what, man? The auctions themselves, they're in South Carolina, they're once a month. They're the first Friday of the month all over the state, every county. Um, but man, there's a lot of investors that are showing up to these things that are buying and selling property. And guys, it's a great place to network. Great place to network. So, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I tried to keep it short, under an hour. There's a couple bonuses here. We won't go through those today. Um, but guys, there are so many leads out there, man. There's no reason to ever really go out there and spend money on a source like Zillow. There's no reason to spend money on a source like Realtor.com or a lot of these lead sources. If you have a little time, you have a little energy, you can go out there and find tremendous leads yourself. And anyway, guys, if you're looking, if you want to copy my book, you go to Amazon. You can find on Amazon 10 strategies for low cost listing leads. Guys, hey, raise your hand if you did you like this webinar, and should I do more of them like this? Cool. Thank you. Cool. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Chris. Cool, man. So there's some stuff here that you think you can make some money out of. Awesome, man. Awesome. Hey, I really appreciate it. Guys, for me, you're welcome to message me through Facebook. I'm happy to talk to you about any of these things. If you have questions about what we talked about today, that's fantastic. Guys, the recording is actually, it's already on YouTube on my YouTube channel. And I'll send out a link to everybody that registered here later today. Guys, I appreciate you being on the call today. And if you're not in my group, Real Estate Agents That Really Work, go in there and join it. And like I said, I'd love to hear some feedback from you. Send me a message through Facebook, and I look forward to hearing from you. And guys, I hope you have a good day.